The Hartley Show is an entertainment program and does not own any of the copyrighted material featured in this episode. All copyrighted material featured will be used as fair use for purposes of criticism, comment, news reporting, and/or research. Taki. Today on The Hartley Show, shit I'm hating on from 2014 and beyond. 2014. It's February, so I'm still going to talk about the prior year here. And of course, it was a giant year for all sorts of stuff, as I've talked about prior. But the things I hate is what I'm really going to riff on here. And there wasn't a lot of stuff in the world of television and movies that I hated in the world of geekery. But I do need to address one point. Constantine. The first 4 episodes were absolutely freaking horrible, man. And I said, frickin', there's kids in the room, so sue me. I'm trying to be sensitive to children. But Constantine, the first 4 episodes were absolute dreck. It was absolutely horrible, man. You had a guy who was the street magician who could do anything, who couldn't open doors. It was horrible. And then it totally turned around. After episode 4, everything was absolutely fantastic. It's been a great show and I love it. But this also ties into one of the things that's been driving me nuts. There seems to be this whole faction of fans out there that think that NBC, it's on NBC, right, Constantine? It's an NBC show, right? Yeah, Grimm, NBC, whatever channel it's on anyways. There seems to be a whole faction of fandom that thinks that Warner Brothers and DC are trying to kill the show while they're still running ads in comics and on television. And when they bumped it to a higher time slot, they moved it from 9 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Obviously, they're supporting the show, you ninnies. Jeez, get over it. But the show has totally turned around. It just really broke my heart that it took them 4 episodes. The key first 4 episodes you need to hook people in, that they screwed the pooch on. And one of the dumbest things they left out of Constantine was the whole smoking thing. He's a smoker now, but for whatever reason, the first 4 episodes, he wasn't. He was an incompetent boob who didn't smoke, he just alluded to it. Gah. Now on to Amazing Spider-Man 2. This is the picture that seems to have somewhat sunk the Spider-Man franchise at the moment, which to me is a bummer. I think that Andrew Garfield is an inspired and fantastic Spider-Man, but clearly these movies are horribly flawed. Now I will admit that I did enjoy Spider-Man 2, but I'm not saying it's a good film. I was able to put my brain on the shelf and enjoy the action scenes and enjoy the performances by Andrew and Emma, but I mean, come on, the villains in the Spider-Man franchise are absolutely atrocious. Their attempt at Electro as this comedic character with the obviously black space between the teeth, and what was it, the Hobgoblin, the Green Goblin, and take some venomy thing and it gives him Brill cream in the hair? Horrible, absolute horrible villains. Atrocious. Why are they doing that? They've taken a great franchise and they've flushed it down the toilet, and now it sounds like, there's all these rumors going around that Marvel is going to reacquire the rights or come up with some deal with Sony, but in the process, they're going to dump Andrew Garfield, which is unfair. He's good. I like him in the role. Spider-Man 2, you have failed fandom. Now, one of the strange things in the world of comics that's going on right now is that Marvel is sort of aligning everything with their cinematic universe. In some cases, this is good. In the case of their new Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comic. In other cases, this is odd and forced. And one of the strangest things that's going on right now is that Marvel seems to be removing all elements of the Fantastic Four from their universe because they don't have the cinematic rights to the Fantastic Four anymore. Of course, the Fantastic Four is got they're licensed out to Fox, the guys who produced those 2 horrible movies and look poised to produce another horrible movie. So one of the first signs of this was in Original Sin. In this storyline, the main plot is the Watcher is killed, and there's this giant mystery as to who kills him, and spoiler alert, it's Nick Fury.
What?
Another character they've slowly worked out of, the original Nick Fury, that is to say, who's on the cover here kind of looking like Cable, and they've slowly worked him sort of to the fringes of the Marvel Universe. It would appear for the case of having the Black Nick Fury Jr., who they've lost the junior part of the name in the role of Nick Fury in the Marvel Universe to line things up with the cinematic universe. Now, I did enjoy Original Sin, but it seemed somewhat forced. And Nick Fury is this great character, and now they've relegated to the role of he's basically the Watcher now. And who didn't like the Watcher? So why Marvel's doing this stuff? Is it petty? It was a vaguely enjoyable storyline. It was enjoyable until the big reveals at the end. The idea that Nick Fury was so much of a jerk he just killed the Watcher was kind of odd. Deathlok, a series that nobody was asking for, a series that had no lead up. It might be good, but I haven't even bothered looking at it because it just feels forced to me. Because yes, we've got the increased popularity of what's this guy's name again? Deathlok on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I mean, it's a totally different character than what they have in the Marvel Universe, and so now I believe they've given us yet another take on Deathlok. What is this, like the fifth, the sixth version of Deathlok? Enough already. Go back to Luther Manning. Stop with the Force stuff, Marvel. Star Wars. Now, the #1 issue of this is printed. I believe Marvel's printed 1 million copies of this thing, and this was a great read. But what's bothering me about this thing is that classically, when they give you one of these guys, one of these sketch variant covers, what you end up with is the inside. This is just an added value is what I'm getting at. They wrap the regular comic in one of these cardstock covers. So you get the sketch you can get put on the outside, but you get the original cover on the inside. Not so with the Star Wars version. When you open up the cover, this cool John Cassidy cover is missing. There's absolutely no reason for this. Marvel's already printed 1 million of these things. Do they really need to make it more of a cash grab than it already was? A great comic, but the sketch variant cover that I always get excited about buying lost its luster because it got ripped off. Wolverines. Now, one of the big things that happened to Marvel this year was the death of Wolverine. It was one of the best-selling comics of the year, and it was fun. But was anybody asking for a weekly series about Wolverines? No, nobody was. Is anybody buying this? I'll bet you this is probably outselling the Earth 2 series at DC, but I can't imagine it will for long because Wolverines, come on, man, who wants this? Move on and produce something good for a weekly, would you, Marvel? And that's the weirdest thing about this. Their first attempt at a weekly series, Wolverines, really? Miracle Man. Now, this series is absolutely fantastic, and one of the weirdest things that's happened with this, these are all reprints, the original Alan Moore, Alan Davis comic, one of these things that changed comics forever. But one of the weirdest things about this Miracle Man book is, for whatever reason, they started that's not what I was looking for. They started polybagging the book. And they started polybagging the book because the seminal issue where Miracle Man's wife has a baby, it was somewhat graphic, even though it is just childbirth. And so they decided to polybag that issue. But they've been polybagging them all ever since. It doesn't make any sense. There's no reason to polybag these things. And all the more strange is you can't even buy these books digitally. What's up with that? One of the best books of all time, and just their marketing is just an absolute mess. And on top of that, the latest issue of Miracle Man, they screwed up some panels where Kid Miracle Man comes back and his word bubbles are all in black with white lettering. Well, they screwed up. They just made the word bubbles all black and got rid of the lettering. Marvel isn't issuing any reprints of the comic. What the heck, Marvel? What the heck? And extra weird on top of all this stuff is they aren't allowed to use Alan Moore's name. He's told them to not include his name in the series, so they just refer to the writer as the original writer. That's kind of weird, huh? Avengers AI. I love Hank Pym and I love the Vision, and this book has them both in it, and I can't stand it. It's the worst take on both of these guys. The Vision, he's this cool guy, he flies around, he can make himself intangible, he can make himself harder than a diamond, he's got this little thing in his forehead, he can shoot the beams of energy out of his eyes, he's super strong, and they decided to make him some dude who merges with machines, and I'm so glad this book is gone. I don't know what the heck these guys were trying to do with this book, but they failed horribly. Now, Ghost Rider. I'm not saying this book is particularly bad. I'm not saying it's particularly good. I think it's okay. But the problem with this new take on Ghost Rider is it's yet another new take on Ghost Rider. There is nothing wrong with Johnny Blaze, the original Ghost Rider. In fact, he's mega freaking cool, man. People love Ghost Rider. When he's done right, he works perfectly. The last Ghost Rider series lasted over 20 issues, I believe. The last Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider series lasted that long. The last other attempt where they made him some gal, I think, made it to like 10 issues. People want to see Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider, not all these new weird takes on Ghost Rider. Dial it in. Just because that Nick Cage guy ruined Ghost Rider doesn't mean Marvel has to too. Give us Johnny Blaze, Marvel. Come on already. Now this series, Thanos, a god up there listening, I bought the series because, I like Thanos. And I thought, hey, cool, Marvel, Thanos, whatever. So I go home, I buy the book, and then I go to enter my digital code because, all Marvel $3.99 books, and this is the $3.99 book, they're supposed to give you that digital copy because that's part of the additional dollar. So I go home, I look for the digital code. Hey, look at that. No digital code in this book. It's only 20 pages, but there's no added value, and it costs $1 more for no damn good reason. Screw you, Marvel, you rip-off artists. Now going on with forced Guardians of the Galaxy, giant, huge movie. So of course with Guardians of the Galaxy, now they have a Rocket Raccoon comic, which is okay, and this giant piece of throbbing poop. Come on, Marvel. Stop forcing it, man. If you don't have a good team, don't put it out. And do we really need everything to just be overly saturated? Okay, Guardians of the Galaxy was great, and it was great, but the lead character can just stay in the book. When you start putting out too many books, you start to water down the field, and you end up with people not buying Guardians and buying this, and then thinking StarLord is lame, and this was unnecessary, Marvel. Unnecessary. Oh, and then you got my final big issue with Marvel this year. Axis, well, last year, 2014. This thing was an absolute piece of crap. Now, they had the success of Superior Spider-Man, where Doc Ock took over Spider-Man's body and he was all evil. It was a great storyline. But they seem to think that, hey, let's do that with everybody in a forced sort of manner. The Red Skull, he swaps these villains and heroes' motivations, and then maintained over in Superior Iron Man, which is actually a fairly good read, but this book was really unfortunate. Solid creative team, but they just dropped the ball. Everything about it was just forced, and lame. I really don't recommend this book. The after effect was okay, and it made for some good effects in the Marvel Universe, but so not worth buying this. And I hate saying that. I mean, it's a recommender. I love the guy. He's a great writer, except for this.
10 and 30. Go!
Fantastic Four, James Robinson, Marvel goodness. Spider-Man, Spider-Verse, fantastic. Tooth and Claw, Autumnlands, holy crap, cool. Trees, man, Warren Ellis is awesome. Supreme Blue Rose, this thing is crazy, weird, and awesome. Green Lantern, you still kind of stink. Trinity of Sin, get canceled already. Scarlet Spiders, what a tragic, cool ending. The Superior Spider-Man, surprisingly good. And Wolverines, cancel this book already.
Just hit him anyway.
Now for the stuff over in DC that's driving me nuts. I'm going to start off with a writer, a person in this case, Ann Nocenti. She wrote Catana. She's writing Clarion. Stop giving this woman work, DC. She sucks. This woman can't write anything to save her life, man. I mean, well, she's getting paid. But come on, man. Her take on Catana was nothing short of just spectacularly boring. Their new look for Catana was kind of weird. I wasn't crazy about this look. I get it. They're trying to dial back from coming off like racist weirdos who make Catana look like she, is from the 50s or something. But this series was atrocious. And was really anybody asking for this giant throbbing piece of ass meat? No, I almost made it sound good calling it a throbbing piece of ass meat. Some people like ass meat. Nobody likes this. And then you've got Lobo. Was really anybody asking for this either, man? Sons of Anarchy, one of the biggest shows on TV. Huge series finale this year. And so they say, hey, guys on bikes are popular. Let's get rid of our most popular guy on a bike and make him some metrosexual turd. Lobo was cool, and now he's just kind of a watered-down space weirdo. Fix it, DC. And then you've got the new creative team on Wonder Woman. The Finches. They make good art. They don't make good writers. Now, in the past, they'd done some stuff that was okay with Batman. Okay. But following up with the Azzarello Cliff Chain run, oh, man. Holy drop the ball Batman. In this first issue, she meets up with one of her former allies, the Swamp Thing, and for whatever reason decides, hey, I'm going to kick his face off. That doesn't feel like Wonder Woman to me, man. And then, of course, they've introduced the new Donna Troy that has nothing to do with the old Donna Troy. She's just angry and wants Wonder Woman dead. Yes, we wanted Donna Troy back. She's only Donna Troy in name at this point. Nice art, horrible, horrible, horrible storytelling. I hope at some point they'll sort of figure out where they're going with the series, and maybe they'll dial it back to being something somewhat cool. But at this point, Wonder Woman feels like a lost franchise. And then you've got Trinity of Sin. Hey, I know the way to fix 2 books that suck written by one writer who's not doing a good job. Let's put them into another book written by the same writer. That'll work, right? No. No, it won't work. And you were stupid for thinking so. This is already canceled. This is only making it to 6 issues. DC, what the hell, man? I could use money. Throw money my way. I can write crap.
You really can. Second.
Earth 2 World's End and the Earth 2 book. I love everything about Earth 2. I love the series by James Robinson. It was taken over by Tom Taylor. It was absolutely fantastic. But once they started this weekly series rolling, it just seemed to get worse and worse and worse the further along it went. It's gone. And one of the things that's bothered me the most about this I sound like I've got like a sinus thing. I don't. Is that it's just way too dark. And they've been ruining things with the solicits. In this particular issue, spoiler alert, and this is no spoiler alert, Superman, the Superman from Earth 2, dies. He sacrifices himself. But months and months ago, they already told us that he was going to die. They showed on the cover a dead Superman. They ruined this. There was no reason to ruin this storyline with the solicited cover where we knew Superman was going to die. And really, you bring back Superman just to have him be powerless and then dead 2 issues later? Come on, guys. It's Superman. Give us more. And it's just this whole thing seems to be leading up to everything Earth 2 dying, going away, and that's really unfortunate. James Robinson created this great legacy, this great new modern legacy for Earth 2, and it seems to me like DC is pissing it out the window, which is too bad. And then there's Green Lantern. Ever since Jeff Johns left this book, there was a brief period. The initial story arc with Relic was pretty solid, and from that point on, it's all been downhill. I don't know why these guys can't seem to get a handle on Hal Jordan, but they can't. And they seem to be having such a hard time with Hal Jordan as a lead character that they've made this book about everybody else but Hal Jordan. Now, I think in this particular issue, it's finally a Hal Jordan solo issue, but in that process, they write everybody else in the book horribly. Flash is written horribly, just for the sake of trying to make Hal look cool. So this is the first book, other than the initial story arc with Relic, where they kind of got Hal right. But other than that, it's just been an atrocious series. I don't know why they can't get Hal right. Hire some other writers for Green Lantern, would you, DC, please? And then you've got the return of Robin Damian. Now, I love Damian as a character. The whole Grant Morrison run with him, the introduction and the death of him, I thought was perfect. And that's my issue with this. Bringing him back a year after he died was weak, man. I got that they wanted a Robin, but they've already got Tim Drake over there. All they ever needed to do was reinstate him as Robin. He had the book for like 10 years. He was in Young Justice. What the heck? He was even in the original Batman animated series. Oh, wait, that was just his costume. It was Dick Grayson. Regardless, Tim Drake deserved to be Robin again, rather than Damon, a character who was created to die. Bringing him back was forced, and bringing him back with superpowers, so he's punching out Calabac. Why? Why? He had more of an impact dead than bringing him back. And sorry, DC. Tomasi is great, but you guys dropped the ball with this one. And my least favorite indie book of the year, Bionic Man, Year, whatever the heck it's called. Now, Dynamite, they are producing a really solid Bionic Man book, originally launched by Kevin Smith. This stuff was solid, solid, solid. Their Bionic Woman book, also solid. I mean, they even managed to bring back the Bionic Bigfoot. Fun, fun, fun. Series wasn't doing terribly well in sales, so they canceled it, and they decided to bring back the Bionic Man a la the TV show, to the point where the writers are actually writing it like it's in the style of that old horrible, horrible TV show that I loved as a kid. Yes, when I went back and looked at, the old Bionic Man episodes as an adult, it's horrible. Why they decided to produce this thing in the style of the original Bionic Man, they even include like sound effects, the da-da-da-da-da-da. Horrible. So there you have it. Shit I'm hating on 2014 and beyond. As always, a giant thanks for watching. A massive thanks to Taz for letting us film here, and we'll see you next time.